Hello and welcome to another episode of Clean Talk. Today is June 12th, and we are recording live here in the Seal Shield Studios in beautiful downtown Orlando, Florida. We have a very exciting episode today, a big announcement here on Clean Talk. That's big news in the infection prevention industry. And with me today is Seal Shield President and General Counsel, Mr. Andrew McCarthy. Andrew, welcome to Clean Talk.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited too, because I understand that there's a big announcement today. Andrew, why don't you tell us what all the fuss is about?
We're excited to announce that we acquired CleanSlate UV, which is one of the market leaders in mobile device sanitization using UV technology.
So Seal Shield has acquired CleanSlate UV. Tell us how this came about.
Yeah. For a number of years, we've been aware of CleanSlate UV. We run in similar circles. We share the same mission, and that is making a meaningful, measurable impact on hospital-acquired infections. And because we were in the same circles, we shared some of the same customers. We would run into them at industry association shows. In many cases, hospitals would be looking at both of our solutions because they're complementary. And so when the opportunity became available to look at a possible acquisition, it was something that we couldn't turn down, just at least looking at it. And the more that we looked at it, the more sense that we realized that the deal made.
So you mentioned that there are common missions, and of course, Seal Shield's mission is to prevent infections and save lives through technology and data management, with a focus on hospital-acquired infections. And of course, CleanSlate also very involved in the infection prevention market. Can you tell us a little bit about the terms of the deal?
Yeah, so it was a bidding process. We and a number of other companies submitted bids. Ultimately, ours had the best terms. It was for all of the company's assets and an all-cash deal. And so we were able to close quickly. And I think the selling parties realized that we had a name in the industry, and they were excited to see us continuing CleanSlate's legacy.
Well, so you mentioned that that Seal Shield purchased all of the assets for cash. What are the next steps in the transaction?
Yeah. So right now we're in the process of onboarding some key CleanSlate employees. CleanSlate had quite a presence in Canada, and so we're looking to build upon that as part of our growth, our geographic growth strategy. We're also in the process of moving their existing inventory down to a brand new 20,000 square foot state-of-the-art warehouse and production facility that we built in Jacksonville, Florida. So we're going to get all that equipment down there. And then we're reaching out to their existing resellers, their existing install base, to see how we can better support them and how we can really grow those existing relationships.
So the key is to support the existing customer base, improve the outcome for Seal Shield's customers and CleanSlate's customers by offering another level of service and a broader breadth of products. Is that right?
Absolutely. And as I said, their product and our products were very complementary. And so while we were, perhaps competing on certain deals, what we really saw is the customer was best served, perhaps by having both of our solutions in the marketplace.
Fantastic. And you talked about the products being complementary. What kind of other synergies you hear about when acquisitions take place? You always hear about the synergies. What were some of the synergies that made this deal make sense?
Well, first of all, as I mentioned, we share the same mission, making a meaningful, measurable impact on hospital-acquired infections. We also were both in the UV space. UV technology is very powerful in terms of surface sanitization. So it made a lot of sense from that standpoint. Because we were calling on the same customers, really, we realized that we had a lot of duplication in sales force, a lot of back-end duplication. So I mentioned our brand new warehouse down in Jacksonville. So it made sense to bring their warehouse management in with ours. And then a lot of the back-end stuff, operational and accounting and that sort of thing. But it's really the fact that our products are so synergistic. We're calling on the same people. And so it made sense all around.
Now, CleanSlate's products are almost exclusively in the UV space. How does that compare to Seal Shield's product offering?
We've got three main product lines. So waterproof keyboards and computer mice, which can be cleaned and disinfected. We do have the UV line. And then we also have screen protectors, which can be put on custom cut for any sort of touchscreen devices. And so all of our three suites of products, they're aimed at these common touch surfaces and making those more sanitary.
Now, you mentioned the screen protectors and how they're custom cut, and that is done in the Jacksonville production facility. They can be custom cut for any size device in healthcare or what have you, I guess. But what makes those screen protectors different than the typical consumer screen protector that we're all used to?
Yeah. So when you put a device into any sort of UV chamber or perhaps a room that's being disinfected with a UV robot, those devices are sensitive to UV light. And so our screen protectors protect them against that UV light, protect them from damage that way. They also protect them from chemical cleaners. And so any sort of touchscreen device, while it can be cleaned maybe once or twice successfully, what happens as you do that more than once is they become cloudy and then almost unusable. And it's an unfortunate reality in healthcare that every single hospital has just a room full of devices that have been ruined through this. And it's a trade-off. You want to have a clean surface, but you want to keep from obviously ruining the device.
So the screen protectors protect from chemical disinfectants, but also from UV, right? So UV is an extremely effective disinfection modality, but the mercury-based UV systems are, they can actually damage these devices, right? And so you need some sort of protection from that UV light penetrating the screen and getting within the circuitry of the device. Is that correct?
Absolutely. UV light, particularly when it's generated from a mercury vapor bulb, has the potential, if it's repeated cleanings, to damage the device, and that's what the screen protectors are designed to prevent.
I want to dive in a little bit deeper to the products and the technologies, but first of all, can you talk a little bit about the acquisition strategy? Why did this make sense from a business standpoint?
Yeah, as part of really fulfilling our mission, we've heretofore engaged on an organic growth strategy. We have always been very deliberate about looking at existing technologies that we might be able to acquire, and this was really the first compelling opportunity that presented itself for some really fantastic technology, some great people. And so it really made a lot of sense, and it checked every single one of the boxes. And so for our first acquisition, I think it made a lot of sense. We're going to continue to look at, but we're going to be deliberate. We have the resources to be able to do it. And I mentioned before that this was an all cash transaction. We didn't have to go out and raise capital because we had a strong balance sheet. So we're able to go out and make these sorts of acquisitions rather easily and quickly.
And I guess the strategy around acquisitions is that if SealShield is going to be true to its mission to prevent infections and save lives, it takes a village, right? There are a lot of vectors to address. SealShield has a broad breadth of infection prevention products. You mentioned the washable keyboards and mice, the UV and chemical resistant screen protectors, and the UVC disinfection chambers, both the electroclave by SealShield and now the CleanSlate, which will be offered by SealShield. Do you see future acquisitions touching on other types of technology within the infection prevention space?
Absolutely. I mean, even in just UV, it's not just about surface sanitization or at least mobile device sanitization. You want to clean all the surfaces in a room. You want to clean the air. And UV is actually a very powerful technology to do that. And it's a technology which has been around since the late 1800s, and it was sort of supplanted by antibiotics. But more recently, people have gone back to it and realized, wow, this is a very, very powerful technology. And it's one that can be passive. So when we talk about like surface sanitization or air sanitization using UV. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And even in our core product business, the keyboards and the mice, I think that it's clear that there are some exciting technologies out there that we either can work on developing ourselves or growing through acquisition of companies that are putting out those technologies.
So the strategy is to do both, to continue to develop technologies in-house, but also look for innovative technologies that are developed somewhere else that might be a valuable part of the portfolio for acquisition.
Absolutely. And we're constantly running into opportunities like that because while we're competing against other companies, we have the same mission. And so we run into each other and we have the same goal. of saving lives and improving outcomes. And so we're definitely keeping our eyes open for those sorts of opportunities.
Fantastic. Well, we look for more updates on future acquisitions that help improve the landscape of infection prevention in hospitals. Let's get back to the technology. So we've talked a lot about UV. CleanSlate has UV solution. SealShield has the electroclave UV solution. What's the difference? Just in a broad highlight. I mean, where do the products differ?
Yeah. So SealShield's existing solution is called the electroclave, and it's more of a staff-focused device. It utilizes LEDs to disinfect devices, and it can disinfect multiple devices at once, and it stores them securely. One of the benefits of LEDs is that it causes no material degradation when you're doing those disinfection cycles. But the trade-off is it's a little bit slower. It can take
lower energy.
Right. It's lower energy. So it can take 60 seconds to achieve 99.9% reduction of some pathogens on the surfaces of those devices. The CleanSlate device, on the other hand, is more patient-focused or provider-focused. When they're wanting to disinfect one device at a time, they're on the go. They want to drop it in. And in just 20 seconds, that mercury vapor bulb, which is higher energy UV source, that mercury vapor bulb can disinfect the surface in 20 seconds. So it'll kill those certain pathogens in just 20 seconds. The person can easily remove it and keep going. So it's not the secure access, it's easy access is really what it's about in that situation. And in the CleanSlate's case, it's really, when the provider's washing their hands, for example, they can quickly drop it in. They don't have to know a password or have a badge to get into the device because they're sitting there watching it right there, and they can easily remove it. So it really improves hand hygiene, and it's a really powerful solution. But because of that, they're really complementary.
Well, you mentioned the application around hand washing, and this is one of the things that I know really impressed us with the CleanSlate solution, how they focused on putting these devices, the CleanSlate UV disinfection chamber, near hand washing stations, and were able to prove that they could drive higher hand hygiene compliance by having a device disinfection station at the hand hygiene station. I think that's incredible. And so CleanSlate has really developed a great reputation of having point of care, waiting rooms, hand washing stations. Whereas, as you mentioned, the SealShield electroclave is more of an enterprise environment solution for multiple disinfection of devices and the tracking of those devices. So two complementary solutions with different workflows and different applications.
Absolutely. And you mentioned hand hygiene. That's incredibly important to hospitals. They spend millions of dollars doing that. And part of the JCO certification, which many hospitals go through, part of that is about hand hygiene. So with a solution like this, without really any additional effort on their part, it just drives that kind of behavior, and that improves their JCO scores.
And now there's a study out that shows that there's a one-to-one relationship between dirty hands and dirty devices, right? So if you're investing in hand hygiene, even if you're following a successful hand hygiene protocol, it's completely negated as soon as those clean hands touch a dirty device. And so now with this realization, it's incredibly important that devices are cleaned with the same type of veracity that we have our hand hygiene standards around. And some people have speculated, Andrew, that the mobile phone may be the most dangerous device in hospitals because it's unprecedented the locations that single device is traveling to versus other devices within a healthcare setting. And now that we know that there's a direct correlation between dirty mobile devices and clean to dirty hands, it just makes sense that hospitals should really be focusing on UV device disinfection to augment, supplement, and really make their hand hygiene processes more effective.
Absolutely. And you mentioned protocols around hand hygiene. Now that we have this realization that devices are part of the problem, I've become aware of a number of organizations that are working to develop standards around device sanitization. We're not there yet, but I'm seeing hospitals become proactive and developing their own protocols so that when external protocols are put in place, they'll always be ahead of the game there.
And we're happy to take any questions live through our Q&A chat. go ahead and send in your questions. We'll take them here live on the air. We've touched a little bit on the technology and the differences between the SealShield ElectroClave UVC disinfection chamber and the CleanSlate UVC disinfection chamber. But we're going to do a deeper dive here on Clean Talk on an upcoming episode. We are going to have a panel discussion featuring experts Christian Davis, Kevin Trong, and Dr. Norman Horn. We'll do a deep dive on the differences in UV technology, the costs and benefits of the various solutions, and where different solutions play a role, what applications are critical, and which solution is best for each application. All that's coming in 2 weeks' time. We'll be filming that upcoming episode at the APIC show. That's the Association for Professionals in Infection Control. The APIC show is upcoming here in Orlando, Florida, June 26th through the 28th. SealShield will have a booth exhibiting at the APIC show. So if you're going to be at APIC in Orlando, Florida, be sure to stop by and say hi to us. We love talking infection prevention, and we'd love to demo for you these products we're talking about from SealShield and from CleanSlate. Very exciting news. More details to come, and we look forward to seeing everybody June 26th through the 28th at APIC in Orlando, Florida. Until then, for my guest, Andrew McCarthy, I'm your host, Brad Whitchurch, reminding you to keep it clean.